Now, recently, the Republicans passed a bill to change the overtime rules in order to, in their words, increase flexibility and help workers. Well, as you're about to see, that it does neither, actually. It actually does the opposite. It helps the companies, and it increases their flexibility with your money. Now, it is called the Working Families Flexibility Act, and I love the Orwellian name here. And basically what it would do is it will allow employers and their workers to enter into arrangements that reward extra work with extra time off instead of money. Specifically, 1.5 hours of compensatory time off for each hour worked beyond 40. Now, workers who don't end up using their time off would actually get paid out at a later date. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute. That doesn't sound too bad. 1.5 hours of time off for each hour worked? Wow, that's actually a pretty good deal. What are you libs complaining about? I mean, this sounds great. I'd love to be able to trade my time. Well, it sounds fine in theory, but the devil's in the details. Let me explain. Even though the workers would have a choice between that extra time and extra pay, a coercive boss could end up putting pressure on employees to take the hours rather than to take the pay. So even if you don't want to take the hours off, no, I need my paycheck. I don't want that time off. Are you sure? Your job might be on the line on this. Come on, take the time off. Take the time off. I don't want to pay you right now. They can do that. They're not supposed to do that, but they could do that. As the Huffington Post explains, it would amount to an interest-free loan for the employer. What's more, the boss ultimately controls when your comp time is used. Now, it says that this bill gives the employers the leeway to turn down requests to use comp time if it, quote, unduly disrupts the operations of the employer. So that's incredibly vague. So what constitutes a disruption? A disruption to the operation. Say you want to take a vacation. Hey man, I got all this time banked off. I worked all this overtime and I've banked up about a week, right? A week's worth of paid time off. I want to take it. I got a vacation. I've been planning to go on a vacation with my family. I need that time off. Ooh, sorry, that's disruptive. So when can I take a vacation? Well, how about Christmas? Ooh, no, sorry, that's also disruptive. When can I? I don't know. I'll let you know a couple of days before that. Or whenever I feel like it. And I can take it away at any time. Well, then when am I going to get my money? Well, that actually is addressed later. Now, if an employer tires of waiting and asks instead for the pay, employers can take up to 30 days to honor that request. If any employee quits or a company goes out of business, unpaid overtime could be difficult or impossible to extract from the employer. So there's an obvious issue. 30 days. I asked for the vacation. They wouldn't give it to me because it was disrupting their operations. Okay, so I want to get paid. Well, now I got to wait an extra month just to get my money. And if, again, and they mentioned if it goes out of business or if something happens, well, sorry, sad day. You're never going to see your money. We just stole that money from you. And we put it in our pocket. Nothing you can do. Now, Republicans, people who support the bill, will be like, whoa, hold on here. Hold on. That, you know, we have protections in here against that. The article mentions that Republicans have placed protections to try to prevent such situations. For instance, the bill states clearly that employers cannot intimidate or coerce workers on the overtime in question, and when they do, they will be liable not just for the overtime pay for damages. Now, that protection, however, is predicated on workers filing federal complaints against their bosses, and those complaints being investigated by a labor department whose funding Republicans want to cut. Oops, did we just destroy your only recourse? Sad. We took your money and we defunded the labor department, so there's nothing you can do about it. Haha, sad. Now, not only that, right, but did you know, and I didn't, current law already allows for this flexibility in worker schedules. Employers actually can let employees vary their start and end times, schedule 10-hour workdays with an extra day off each week, or 9-hour workdays with a day off every other week. Now, I had no idea that you could actually do that. Usually when they tell you you need to work between this time and this many days a week, well, that's usually how it goes. Now, another criticism here comes from Celine McNichols, a labor lawyer with the left-leaning Economic Policy Institute. Now, she said that the proposed reforms ignore the power balance that's at present inside of a real-world workplace. She said it sets up a dynamic for the first time since the law was created that employees are going to have to ask to be paid overtime that they've earned. McNichols said sitting down with employers and electing to choose comp time or to be paid to the overtime they've earned, we know in reality what those situations can look like in terms of pressure. Now, again, I did mention that there are certain protections against that. Now, another another argument from supporters of the bill says that, hey man, public workers already have those same options. Why is it fair for public government workers to have this choice and not for the private sector? Well, again, on its face, it sounds like, okay, you could make an actual argument that, oh, maybe that isn't fair. Maybe private workers should have this same option. Well, the thing is that unlike the private sector, those workers are often in unions, and a government employer doesn't actually have the same profit incentive as somebody in the private sector, meaning it's more likely that your employer doesn't want to honor that agreement because they end up making more money if they steal yours. I mean, that actually is like, hey man, I'm going to get more money if I take yours. So I'm going to take your money, and you're not going to have any recourse because we lobbied the Republicans to take away the Labor Department. Sad. Now, you will also have no union behind you, very likely, and you're going to get cheated. More likely, you're going to get cheated by your own employer, and that they'll end up getting away with it. That's why this bill is a bad idea. It's basically an invitation to wage theft, which is already a huge problem in the fast food industry, which again, no unions and little recourse for them to do. I would beware of legislation like this, especially with these Orwellian names, okay? Because it's the Working Families Flexibility Act. Anything with family, flexibility, or even workers, you got to watch out for it, man. You can almost guarantee it's going to be harmful to all of those things. So be careful with bills like this. Make sure to read it. Make sure to know what you're in it before you, or what's actually in it before you support it, because it's very, very likely that these congressmen are going to come up with a piece of legislation that ends up screwing you in the end, because they work for giant corporations and not for you. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.